Welcome back to my Ultimate Decades Challenge. The year is 1426. Gilbert and Gertrude have just celebrated 16 years of marriage. The two are still very much in love, and though it took a while for Gertrude to adjust to peasant life, she wouldn't trade what they've built together for anything in the world. She especially wouldn't trade their 5 children, Octavia, twins Suri and Raout, Myron, and Henny. Born almost a year to the day after her parents' wedding, Octavia is a bright and caring 15-year-old, spending her days helping her mother with the housework and looking after her beloved cat, Bulkin. However, not all is well with her, as she is constantly tormented by the sounds of scratching in the walls, which get particularly loud when she's trying to sleep at night. She's convinced they're infested with rats, though the rest of the family remains doubtful. Still, her parents try to ease her concerns by setting out traps and offering to get another cat if things get worse. The twins have just recently turned 13, and Suri is excited to enter womanhood. Seeing her older sister with her sweetheart, Erhard Hoffmann, especially gets her excited. One day, it'll be her sneaking kisses and talking of weddings. Raout, on the other hand, is burdened with knowing that will never be in the cards for her. Back-to-back ear infections and fevers in toddlerhood left her without her hearing, and society at this time didn't think favorably about deaf or otherwise disabled people. Jewish law didn't even recognize the marriage of a deaf person, and most people automatically assumed her to be stupid. Her own brother was one of those people, constantly belittling and being downright cruel to her over her disability. Though, to be fair, he wasn't much nicer to his other sisters, or anyone at all, really. Considering he's our heir, this doesn't exactly bode well for future generations. Unlike her brother, little Henny was an overall sweet child, though recently she's started playing this funny game, where she'd dress in Myron's old clothes and pretend she was a boy named Henrik. Her parents thought it to be a bit strange, but didn't discourage her games. Children like to play pretend. After all, surely this was just a phase, and she would eventually wear her dresses and answer to her name without fuss. While Gertrude was doing fairly well, all things considered, the same couldn't be said for the family she ran away from. The von Windenberg estate had been destroyed by a freak tornado earlier in the year, and though they fortunately all survived due to being on the mainland for a wedding, they were now on the brink of financial ruin. A majority of their fortune had been stored on castle grounds, all which was now lost to the storm or stolen by looters. Unable to afford to rebuild, they'd settled in their second, smaller property on the mainland, though whether the once all-powerful family can restore themselves remains to be seen. Oh, and remember how Gertrude was promised to Christoph Berger IV. Well, he wasn't too happy to learn his betrothed had run off with a peasant, and his rage very nearly broke all goodwill between the Bergers and von Windenbergs. Since Gertrude's younger sister was already promised to another noble family, her father and older brother were left with only one option to restore the long-standing peace. While the lord and his wife had no more daughters, heir to the estate, Adalbert von Windenberg had a pregnant wife, who later in the year gave birth to twin girls. From the moment of her birth, Lady Adelaide was betrothed to the future lord, and as a sign of good faith, or perhaps to ensure the future bride wouldn't flee, she was sent to live at the Berger estate shortly after turning 6 years old. Today, she is married to a man 2 years older than her father, and is carrying what everyone hopes is the future Berger heir in her belly. But Adelaide has a dark and dangerous secret. Growing up in the estate, she'd developed a close friendship with Lord Christoph's bastard son, Philibert Wilburn, who was only a little over a year her senior. The baby she was carrying was not, in fact, Christoph's, but Philibert's, a secret known only to the two lovers. Were the truth to come to light, she'd be lucky to spend the rest of her life in a convent, and God only knows what would happen to Philibert. No one could ever know of their transgressions, but only time will tell if the truth will stay buried.